Hello, I'm hoping you can hear this. I am just wanted to kind of touch base with you for a few things that I just wanted to tell you before the on-screen exam on Monday. Hopefully you haven't stressed out too much about it. I just wanted to kind of reassure you that we've thoroughly tested the whole setup now. The printer works. There is Word works on everything. The IT team are going to be around like for a good hour or so beforehand to log everything in and make sure everything is all right. I just really wanted to just make sure that you're comfortable with what's actually going to be happening in the exam. So if I just share with you my screen, you can see what you'll get on your login. Okay, so if I go back to my the exam drive, so you'll have an L drive, okay, which will look like this. It'll have ICT in it, and you'll have your particular login there. I'm presuming that each computer you'll know whether you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll probably be in alphabetical order. Each one will have these files in it. Okay, you will obviously have the Python file, which is the vanilla skeleton code. You'll have the 2 associated text files, game 1 and logs. You'll have the preliminary material, which is, you know, the document that talks about how to play the breakthrough game. You'll also have a printed version of this on your desk as well. I've also put the teacher notes in there. You shouldn't need to look at that, but if you maybe want to have a quick flick through, these are all in, by the way, in the Teams. In the I'll put a link in the Teams as well, where there's a zip file which has got all of this stuff in it already. You will have the electronic answer document. This is your main document you're writing all of your answers to, not just the ones for the programming answers, this is the ones for all the questions as well. So you won't be writing them down on a piece of paper, you'll be typing them into Word. I've also stuck this document here, which is advice on using electronic answer documents. I'm just going to quickly open this one up. It talks about, and again, try and look at this before the exam as well. It talks about, what you need to have practiced with the electronic answer document. So make sure you type your details on the front cover and in the footer. You should save them in your individual area, which is what we've already done, but you'll need to keep saving it there. You will make sure you know how to save it, what format to use, leave it in Word. There is this thing called a print monitor. There will be a second person, I think, in the exam who will be solely in charge of fetching things that you print and giving it back to you. Okay, don't get up when you print things. This, I think, is the one I want to make sure. Make sure you know how to resize screen captures. Okay. It's not a test of your typing or word processing skills, but they're expecting you to know how to do this in Word. So maybe if you're a bit not sure of Word, spend some time beforehand practicing this. So you do muck around with an EAD beforehand just to make sure you're happy with it. If for some reason the EAD doesn't work, you could potentially print stuff out onto a separate blank document, making sure that on each page it says that. Okay. I'm hoping it won't come to that, but if you do, for some horrible reason you can't get the EAD to work, you could put it on a blank document as long as you put those things at the bottom. When you are responding to programming questions in the EAD, make sure you copy their code, every line for the relevant question, and copied it into a format that can be easily read. This is the ultimate thing. If the marker can't read it, they may not give you a point. You might have done the work, you might have sweated about it and finally got something that works. If they can't read it in the printout, because they don't get an electronic copy, so the printout is key, then you might not get the mark. For the source code, it says the candidates can either copy and paste the lines or use a screen capture. My advice is to copy and paste the lines because they're easier to read and potentially could be, no, ignore me. Screen capture should really only be done for the testing, so when you actually test it. Here we go. If you do copy and paste the lines of code, the formatting should remain the same. So indentation needs to be kept in there. And then it's got some instructions of when you're pasting the screen captures, you're typing them into the cells, or you're pasting them into the cells of the table. So they've got some instructions on how you can wrap text if it doesn't all appear. Okay, they're a bit of a faff, but I'll let you read those in your own time. What I've also done in this, so the preliminary material is there, but I've also put a little message from Mrs. James.text, which I don't think will be too much, which shouldn't be outside of the requirements for the exam. You should know all of this. I've kind of mentioned it. So all the exams are in the L drive. You can access that both from your normal login and from the dev server. Okay. Before the exam starts, please make sure you've logged into the dev server and check you can run the Bright Python program successfully. Okay. There are a couple of different ways of doing it. I think sometimes it works. Sometimes just opening the Python file and running it works, but then sometimes it doesn't. You might have compilation errors. It seems to be all right in idle. If you do want to use PyCharm and you've had this before, then my suggestion is to make a new project in PyCharm, make sure that the basic main.py works, and then copy and paste the Python from the given Python file, paste it in there. But you'll also need to move your what's it called, your locks.txt and the game1.txt into the same root folder as your main thing. You should have been able to do this before, but just make sure before they start the timer, you've got a working copy of your breakthrough code. Also make sure you've opened the electronic answer document in your normal computer in Word, so not on the dev server, because Word isn't installed on the dev server, but in your normal login, open up the EAD, which you'll find on the L drive. Just a quick word about the EAD. I'm just going to open it up here so you can see it. Before you start, please make sure you have filled in all of this bits with your candidate number and surname, forename. Someone in the mock hadn't filled that in. Luckily, it was only one person and I could figure out who that was, but you know, it's a big deal if you don't fill this in the A level. Okay. You will also need to go to the footer, which I think is on the, yeah, there we go, on the, not the main page, but on the second page. Double click on there and then fill in your centre number and your candidate number and name. And then when you click out of it, it should be on all the pages, even if there are more pages than you think. Do familiarise yourself with this EAD, so you could probably guess what might be in there. I think that might be a big O question. There are lots of theories. Google it. There are lots of different theories for what these different questions are. I mean, you know, you've got some, I think this is going to be a matrix, an adjacency matrix. This probably will be a trace table, maybe, or another adjacency matrix. This one, there's a big one. Oh, I thought there was a big one down there. But then you've got your section B, which is the programming task, the little 20-minute programming task. Section C, which are the questions on breakthrough, the sort of theory questions on breakthrough. And then section D are the programming questions on breakthrough. Okay. Yeah, I haven't really got any advice as to where the best way to approach it. You know your strengths and weaknesses. Section D is usually the doozy, the one that takes the longest. So potentially don't waste too much time on the smaller questions if you want to spend more time on working through the breakthrough ones. Other things I wanted to say. During the exam, keep saving the document. I'm paranoid that something will happen and you'll lose it, but it does autosave, but maybe, you know, actually click Control-S a few times. When you're making changes to your program, maybe make backups as you go, you know, create different version numbers just in case you want to go back to another version. Definitely make backups of your original game one and locks just in case you need to revert to those. When you're copying code into the EAD, make sure it's legible when printed. Okay, when you're pasting in code from PyCharm, even if you're pasting just the code rather than a screenshot, it seems to include the coloring if you're using a dark theme. So what I found was if you do right click and choose merge formatting, it gets rid of the black background or the dark background, but keeps the indentation. Okay. When copying results of the test, these should be screenshots. So do make sure you crop it. Don't just do a massive print screen and try and show the whole screen. Literally, it's probably only a couple of centimeters worth of the actual results that you want to paste in. 10 minutes before the end of the exam, you should be sending your document to the printer. Don't do it at the end. You will have run out of time. Okay. When you're sending it to the printer should work. Woohoo! Make sure you only send it single-sided and black and white only. Okay. The printer should be working. Ensure your name and ID and centre is on the footer of every page, which you should have done at the beginning. And when you get your pages back and you look at it and go, no, they won't be able to read that, that's when you fix it. Okay, so that's kind of why I think 10 minutes is probably enough to be formatting it. The whole of the time for your exam includes the printing and the formatting and the collating. Okay. This print monitor will retrieve your printouts and return them to you, so you don't get up and go to the printer yourself. You must have collated these by the time the exam ends. Okay. If you've got any questions, please email me. Fingers crossed there won't be any of the admin issues we had at the beginning. I've tested it myself and it seems to work. They've changed the passwords now, so even if you can remember your password, you won't be able to get in. I haven't seen the exam, so I can't give you anything else to help you. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to say. Good luck. You will be fine. I think you're in a really good place. I think we did as much breakthrough work as we possibly could. So as long as you're vaguely happy with most of those ideas that we had before, then you should be fine. Okay, don't panic. You're all really intelligent and you'll do well, I think. Okay, practice trace tables. I think they're the ones that I think, you know, the trace tables for things like Dijkstra's and depth first search and things like that. Practice. I can't remember what else was on the advanced information. You're probably well ahead of me on that. Please drop me an email if you've got any questions. I'm happy to do a Teams chat if you want beforehand. On the Monday morning, I've got to invigilate some ghastly exam somewhere, so I won't be around probably, but I think I might be in between those exams. So do try and come and find me if you have any questions. Okay, bye-bye. Good luck. You'll be amazing.